Dang.
Hello,
Hey.
everybody.
We're live? Oh,
What year is it?
Wild.
Where are we?
2030.
Feels like 2030. What is up, everybody?
We are
Welcome.
live.
how,
Yeah,
do,
we're
how do
like
I
so
do this
rusty with
again?
this. When was the last time we went live?
Welcome to Photography and Friends Live. Will, Sam, and I are in the house, and we're so
we're
excited
back.
to be back in action.
We back.
What's up, guys?
Nothing, man. What's up with you? How's your summer been? Where have you been? What's going on? What's your name? Who are you?
I don't even remember any of those things anymore. Summer has been good. Hello, everyone in the chat. Let us know where you are tuning in from. We got some of our favorite people in the house. Very, Brian, Jose, Prasanthi. Thank you so much for being here, for chatting. Head over to the Photography and Friends YouTube channel and chat us there. That's like the easiest place for us to see those chats coming in.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, summer. I took a lot of time off this summer to be with the kids. It was the last time that my little kids weren't in grade school, so they're in grade. My boys are in grade school now. So yeah, it was fun summer. Did a couple trips. Went to Idaho, which was amazing. Super beautiful up there, and did a little oceanside trip. And a lot of time just hanging out at home. Swim lessons with the kids.
Whoa.
Trying to stay
They
cool.
good swimmers.
No, they are not, but they're trying to learn. Lucia, my little one, she's better than the boys. And it's all the teacher, because the boys were in like a upper level, but the teacher would like ask them like, "Oh, do you want to jump in? Like go under the water?" And they'd be like, "No." And so they just wouldn't do it. But then Lucia had like a hardcore teacher that was just like, "You're jumping in the water and you're going to have to swim to the top."
Oh, my God.
And she like did it, and it's pretty exciting. But yeah, so I've just been up to that kind of stuff. And yeah, boys just started school, so ready to get back into photography and friends and classes and all that kind of stuff too. So how are you guys doing? What did you guys do this summer?
Sam? Uh-oh. Did we lose audio? Or is that just me?
No, I muted myself.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Hi, we're new here.
man, yeah. Summertime. Summer started in July, I guess. I got stuck in a Category 5 hurricane.
Oh,
in
that's
Guam.
right.
That was a thing. Have we talked since then?
I don't think so.
Yeah. Went to Nepal, then Thailand, then was supposed to go to Micronesia, but there's a hurricane, and I got
This was
stuck.
when you were supposed to be filming a project.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
And then came back, and then it's been busy. It was like tons of work there for a moment. Went to a ranch with Will for a week, hung out with horses, and
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
lots of reels and photography. I took photos at my friend's elopement. My fiance was the officiant, and so I said I'd do photos and videos and stuff, and it was actually really fun to be in that wedding mindset and like getting shots and posing a couple and doing all that stuff. Is a lot of fun. Um, and then just a lot of video projects and stuff like that. But it's been lovely. I realize how hot it's been everywhere else, and Santa Cruz is in a little microclimate, so it was like 90 yesterday. It's very hot, but today it's super overcast and like 60 degrees, and it's sort of been like that throughout summer. We'll get a couple nice days, and they'll get nice and cold again. So
that sounds nice.
yeah,
Yeah. It's pretty humid here in Tennessee.
I can only imagine.
Will, what have you been up to?
Oh, man, I've been doing a lot of video stuff. Yeah, I mean, Phil and I, we were talking about it earlier. I think the biggest thing I did that's coming out soon is I directed and shot some videos for Colby Calais. Those will be cool. Those will be this acoustic set.
That's so cool.
I've done some concert stuff. Some friends around here. We're doing a lot of acoustic video stuff. I've been shooting a lot of film, but I just got a couple of rolls of 120 back that I took to the county fair.
Oh,
And yeah, with some friends. And the film actually, I think I traveled with these two rolls back and forth to LA too much because they're supposed to be fine in the X-ray, but like I have gone through the X-ray like maybe 6 times with those rolls, and so now they're like there's a streak across all of them, which is kind of a bummer.
Mm.
it's that
And
cool film look.
it's on both rolls. It's 800 Cinestill, and it's on both rolls in 2 different magazines for my Hasselblad. So I'm pretty sure that's the case. But yeah, I know. I've been shooting a lot of film doing that. I had a wedding at LMU. I shot, which was fun.
That's cool. Had you shot
Yeah.
a wedding at LMU before, which is
I
the
did
college
for,
we all went to?
For Courtney and,
yes,
or
yes.
for Donovan. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was like 12 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
And so then I shot one recently, and I did some medium format photos too alongside that. I wonder if I can find those. I'll have to send them to you guys. But that was super fun. I do have a wedding inquiry I got today. Shooting a wedding in April in Mexico.
Nice.
So
And you separated
That's
all
cool.
your Instagram accounts.
Oh yeah, have you noticed that? Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a whole diatribe that we go on. If you guys have questions about why I'm doing this or social media, please feel free to post in the YouTube chat. But I had this long break from Instagram, and I'm really I'm not anti-Instagram, but I'm trying to step away more from social media, or at least have a better relationship with it.
Yeah.
And my main account, my William Carnahan account, is for pretty much work only. So from now on, I'm only posting anything that has to do with things I've shot, my blog posts, classes, all that stuff. And then I have an adventure Insta account, which is more about like camping, and like I'm going on a backpacking elk hunt with A Day in the Field, who just saw a comment in there. Next week, where we're going to be making a YouTube video. And then I have my wedding only Instagram account, which is like something I'm just going to be posting wedding stuff for. And that just has come about because like I have a lot of people that are like, I don't see any of your wedding stuff. Like, I want to see your portfolio. And the websites are fine, which is good, but Instagram allows me to tag people and get more wedding content built.
Yeah.
And so if you're interested in following me, I forgot the name of it already. I think it was William. What was it, Sam? I had a long talk with Sam about what I should name it. And yeah, so I'm slowly trying to build up my wedding Instagram account, and that's where I'll William Carnahan _weddings.
I think the thing about that, which we could keep talking about this, but I don't want to,
Yeah, do
spend
you like
too
it?
much
Do you not
time
like it?
diving
Are you
into
upset?
Instagram, but it's an interesting idea. I think as photographers, a lot of people are just over Instagram, but
Yeah.
it's still important to have it as a wedding photographer, an active photographer, that profile where people can go see your work, and it gives you an excuse to post more photos than what would be on your website portfolio, which is usually more curated and limited. So
Yeah, and personally, I feel like I get into these, and this is like a personal thing, and I don't know if people can relate, but like I get into these like Instagram holes where I'm just endlessly scrolling, and it feels like a waste of time. And then like I don't know, if I see other people's posts, I'm like, man, I wish I was doing that. Like it's like this. Instagram has this weird mental control over me that I've been trying to step away from or change my relationship with.
yeah,
And I think by separating all these things, it's an experiment. So we'll see how it goes.
it's all an
I
experiment.
think
We're
it's-
all going through it, and we're
Yeah, I
all
think
trying
it's
to figure it
absolutely
out.
a thing. Yeah, and I also, I mean, I think to your point, Will, of what you're doing, and for photography people on here, like having a dedicated thing that is like your body of work that you're trying to share with people. Instagram's a great tool to share that with someone. And you can share
Absolutely.
your website, of course, and your Instagram account should lead to your website that showcases, that stuff. But I've been going through rebuilding my website, and I won't get to Brittany and Vary's websites because they've been posting some their new websites, but curating what the work is that's going to be on there and all this stuff. Like the Instagram feed is also a tool that's going to like showcase all that. But if you do specific things, having specific accounts for each of those makes a lot of sense. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, and I'm into that. I feel like it's a nice separation in my head. I was talking to, I think he's in the chat again, A Day in the Field. He's on TikTok a lot, and he's like, I just don't. If I didn't want to become a personality to share my work, I wouldn't have to be across all social media platforms. I don't know. It's different for everybody and like what you're doing. But yeah, if you guys have questions about that, let us know. I like the website idea. It's just not as easily accessible on a whim, or if you're trying to get clients, to get exposure.
Yeah. Well,
see, but I don't know if my Instagram account played a role in me getting a job, but I've never had, to my knowledge, a job because of my Instagram account.
Oh, I have for sure.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
But you're not very active.
Yeah, you utilize yours more, I guess.
Everyone tuning in right now, how are you guys feeling all about Instagram or
we got a Vero person on here, which
we got Vero, yeah.
Remember that fun experiment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just hard because the user base is in Instagram and it's not necessarily connecting with other photographers. Like I love the Vero concept there, but it's that everyone, including clients, are on Instagram. And so it's getting people that are non-photographers to see your work as well.
Right.
The thing though is like Instagram doesn't push photos at all anymore. And like my entire feed is videos, and I don't care about getting a lot of likes, but I pay attention, and it's like, okay, I posted to 25,000 followers and 30 people liked a photo. It's like, that's because Instagram isn't showing it to anybody. And that's fine, because the only reason, honestly, I use Instagram is so that I personally can look back and be like, oh, this is like a diary of my life via photography. For me, it's not a place to get jobs, but it's, as photographers recommending it, it's hard. I don't know.
But you can send your Instagram to someone that can see your work.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's like the most utilized part of it.
Yeah,
totally.
And however many likes you get or not, like, I mean, there's all the strategy of when to post and doing reels, and like if you're trying to get Insta famous, then that's a thing. But if you're just trying to share your work, who cares about likes? Who cares about how many comments it gets? Who cares about all that stuff?
Yeah.
Share your work, have a portfolio, and it's a great tool to share what you do.
I'm doing this is okay. There's so many tangents. And first, I just want to say thank you all for being here again. We see people in the comments: Barsha, Pasa, Red Rose Skull, Carlos, Robert, Marta. Thank you all, Bob, Denise. Thank you for being here. Let us know, because I want to ask Will and Sam this: what camera are you currently using?
Oh
and
boy.
What's your favorite lens? So put in your chat, the camera you're on right now and your favorite lens you're using. But speaking of Instagram, so last thing about Instagram, my wife and I were doing something for the kids' preschool where we're offering affordable family photos for the holidays. And it's going to be like a one-day thing where it's a fundraiser for the school. So we're doing it like basically for free. But we were looking for another photographer, and there was a mom at the school who has an Instagram, and my wife sends me like, oh, check out their Instagram. Do you think they would be good? And it was exactly that. I looked at her Instagram. It was a thing like, okay, I can see, yes, you have quality photos. You're hired for this free fundraiser. But yeah, it was like using Instagram to verify that you can take photos for this event. And that is an idea. If you're looking for a way to get, you could probably do this and get paid to do it. I'm doing it for free because I'm a parent, but go around to schools, and they're always looking for fundraisers. Holidays, people want to get photos done ahead of time. So you should probably be planning this right now for like doing it in October or November. But hook up with a school, nonprofit around, and put together like a one-day thing where you can get, one batch of photos in one location, have a new family come in every 45 minutes or something, and work with the school or whatever. I'll let you guys know how it goes, but I think it could be a viable way to make a bunch of connections as a photographer.
Yeah.
You lock in those families for family photos year after year after year for any event. It's a great way to start a business as a photographer.
Mama
Yeah.
said Instagram is the devil. I like that.
It
True.
is. It really is.
Look at all the Canons people are using.
You know, I think Canon has done such an amazing job. Their step into mirrorless world was a little bumpy at first, but like the specs on their cameras they're putting out and the usability and the fact that their adapter actually works well with old glass, it's yeah, they do
Yeah.
good stuff.
I would have gone Canon if they had mirrorless when I jumped over to Fuji. Nicholas Satarsky with the Sony. I'm
Nicholas.
curious how everything's going with you wedding wise. We did a great, well, Will and Sam did a great interview with you about your wedding photography business. I want to hear an update. Everyone check that interview out over at photographyandfriends.com under the I think it's under the podcast.
I think it's,
unless it was just a live stream.
I think it might have been a live stream.
Yeah, I think it was a live stream.
Okay. Well, did I post it as a? Anyways, Nicholas, I'm
It's
curious
somewhere.
to see if your strategy of using Yelp ads and things like that is still working, or if you found other things to do or whatnot. But anyways, yeah, lots of Nikon. If people have questions, shoot them at us. We're just going to be here for the next 30, 45 minutes, however long you want us to be, answering questions. I saw someone was in the Nikon camera class and had a question. So yeah, go ahead and ask any questions. Actually, that Nicholas Satarsky is on the podcast. I added that. So
Cool.
check that out if you're interested in wedding photography and yeah, launching that kind of business.
A lot of Sonys, a lot of Canons. Sam, what did you shoot your wedding with?
I shot it with my Leica Q3,
Womp.
which was wonderful, and the Sony A7R5, which is the
Oh, you ended up
Will and
using
I
that.
Will and I got that for our work stuff, just because we do all of our video stuff with Sony's. It was really nice having, because we have the full set, like I have the full 16 to 35, 24 to 70, and 70 to 200, and
Sony.
having the Sony and having the 70 to 200 on there, and then the Q3, which is a fixed 28, was like exactly what I wanted. I think I would have preferred like a 85 prime lens probably, but man, getting the lighting right, getting all the things right, the Sony looks great, but like the quality of the Leica, it's kind of hard to look at the two images side by side because it's like, well, why doesn't that look as good? But no, it was super fun. It ended up being in is up in the Pacific Northwest. I have a friend up there who's a bush pilot, and he has a water plane, and so he took us out to this remote lake, and we were in the woods by this lakeside. And
When are we
did
going
it
to
all.
see these photos?
I'll post a couple. I guess.
Okay, that's like painful. Oh,
It's
post a couple.
it's a new world for me. It's
I know. I just excited to have one of you guys be shooting a wedding. And I want to see and compare and help and contrast and share and all the things.
fair.
I saw a question in there. Speaking of that, what is it? Do you guys use AI to batch and edit
No,
and call photos? No.
Photos. Yeah.
Not yet. I'm
Yeah.
sure in the future, if there's going to be like a reason to do that or it's good enough, I would be willing to try it on a wedding to cull photos, but probably not to edit. I've just gotten it down to a system and I do it by hand, and it's been working great for me. So why change it up? Unless I could see that there could be a reason to use it in the future, but I haven't seen it really perform that way.
I've seen someone where basically anything where what's supposed to be the main subject is out of focus. Like there's certain things that you can tell it to like call out.
Mhm.
I think a big part, like sometimes those accidents actually end up making wonderful photos, and the idea of not personally going through the photos I take and selecting which ones I want to do, I don't know. I don't know if I'd fully trust that to a computer.
AI, yeah.
I did
sure.
see the article recently, literally about what we were just talking about, like probably last live stream.
Yeah, we
couple
had an
months ago,
AI. Yeah, an
about
AI.
like how like someday people aren't even gonna want to do like headshots or anything anymore because they can just throw a photo into a random AI generator and then it'll come up with a bunch of headshot options for them, and it's already happening.
Yeah, that was quick.
There's a question on the Nikon camera class. Marta is asking about the D5600 settings. I guess this might be a better offline question. If you're in the Photography and Friends community, which you can join over at plus.photographyandfriends.com for free, we can answer a bit better, and maybe you could send a screenshot or a photo of what the back of your screen looks like, because the settings should look the same as what we have in the class. That class is geared towards DSLR cameras, but the D5600, I don't know.
They might have done a new firmware that changed the screen layout.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. We can dig into that, but maybe Martha, if you can post that over on the Plus community, that would be helpful. Nicholas says that he has 4 weddings this weekend. That
Nicholas,
just sounds
monster.
too much.
How do you?
Do you have are you like running a business with like multiple photographers, or are you shooting 4 weddings this weekend yourself?
I bet he second shoots for a little. I bet one of them he's at least second shooting, but I could see him doing full blown weddings for. I mean, like if you had an elopement on a Friday, or like one big one on a Saturday, or. But that's what you got to do, right? If you're full-time wedding photographer, knock out 4 weddings in a weekend.
Yeah.
And you've made your money from
the hustle. Yeah.
And you mentioned that you're getting a lot of leads from vendors, venues, Instagram, organic. I think the vendors and venues is super important to be connecting with other people, but also like venues, that's crucial, because a lot of venues will have their preferred photographers listed when someone purchases or rents out a venue. Nicholas, do you have any advice for how you've been able to get recommended by venues or
I mean, I think Nicholas should speak up to that, because you just build relationships and you take time. If you guys can go follow Nicholas's Instagram page, I'm not on Instagram, but we can find that maybe. Like he's been doing it now for a few years, and like started with our classes way back when, and is like killing it. But I think not only is he a good photographer, but like over time, like you build up the consistency, and he's been very consistent with stuff. So I would go check that stuff out. I wanted to say something else, but now I forgot what it was. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys. Maybe I did this offline, but we haven't streamed since then. But that wedding that I shot in Houston, did we talk about this?
No.
Online? And I was shooting alongside this videographer, and like halfway through, he came up and was like, "Wait, are you Will? Like, do you know Phil Ebner?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I was working with him all day, and he's like, "Oh my God, I've taken all your classes online. If it weren't for Phil, I wouldn't know how to edit wedding videos. He like inspired me to do this." And this is in like some random place in Texas. He's like, "I had no idea we were shooting together. He wanted to take like a selfie with me." And so like funny. The couple was like, "What is happening right now?"
That is so funny. Oh, I have a little buddy who wants to come chat.
Oh, what up?
Can you answer the questions about photography?
She's like, "No."
Where are you going? Love you.
Oh, on the move. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry not to hijack that, but I thought that was cool. It's just nice seeing in person the effect that we can have on people shooting stuff. I feel like
it's a great reminder. I mean, we mentioned, so you kind of hinted at, but we have a couple students, maybe here, Very and Brittany, who started out with us on Plus and taking classes, and now you have these great websites that you've been working on and sharing with us. And Very, you have a question about overcoming imposter syndrome, but it's great to see students, actually taking action, and it's It's
I
not
mean,
just
that's,
us. It's like taking action and doing the work. And
yeah, and that's I think one of the biggest things, like what it's taking photography from a hobby to a job or a career, or even a part-time job. But like Brittany went out and set up a photo shoot with 10 models and hair and makeup, and I mean had this crazy day of production. But she just posted her new website, and there's tons of amazing work. I mean, some from other photo shoots as well, but a bunch from that. And um it's kind of all the conversations we have, all the courses we teach. It's all great and it's a good base, but until you're going out and doing the work and doing 4 weddings in a single weekend, or getting clients and working with people and establishing those relationships, I mean, that's the real marathon to all this, because you got to keep going and you got to keep connecting with people, and you got to keep, there's a question in Photo and Friends about leaving a client or moving on, and the fear of losing that connection. And it's like, well, why do you have to stop that connection? Unless it's like you don't like working with the people, then yeah, don't work with people. But
mhm.
it's kind of like Will and I have this whole rule, and I'm sure we've talked about it, but you always give something a year. You might have a conversation today and you give it a year, because it's not going to happen overnight that someone's like, oh yeah, like let's work together tomorrow. It's probably going to be in a year. And if you keep posting to Instagram, if you remind people about the work you're doing, or share new work with important vendors or important people, that's how you keep them on your radar, and you keep them reminded of the work you do, and that you do good work, and the type of photography you do or video. Um, but you're an amazing photographer, and I understand imposter syndrome, but you are more than capable than taking great photos, and you've worked with clients and they've been happy with your work. Asking for money is just always a kind of a strange thing, and everyone approaches it differently. Will and I have talked that we're horrible at business because we're oftentimes too lax with our conversations around money. But finding what's fair, finding what's justified, and setting out those parameters beforehand, I think is what's most important, just so you don't get in awkward situations. It's like we went to Ghirardelli, and when we first got started and we gave them a budget, and like, oh yeah, this is great. And then we were locked in for the next 10 years, and we slowly could charge more, but our initial rate was so low.
Mhm.
But that's what we set it at. And so they're like, oh yeah, these guys are great and they work for cheap. And it took so many years to like slowly build that up. But once we went to the next big client, we were able to, from the get-go, start at a higher number. But it took,
Sometimes, I mean, this is different than photography, but I feel the same way too with like my online business, and I'll get approached by people who want me to partner on a video or do a sponsored video, and usually I'm either just don't do it, or I say, okay, yeah, I'll do it, but I'll just do it for free or whatever, reviewing things. But there was a recent company that reached out to me, and I was like, I'm at a point where I'm like, I don't need to do every video partnership that someone comes to me with. And so I was like, I'm just going to throw out this like random big number. And they agreed to it. And I was
You're
like,
like, dang it.
yeah, I was like, I should have been doing that. Yeah, I was like, oh man, now I have to do the work. But no, it's like, I have that imposter syndrome with my online
Sure.
business still. And yeah, I don't have any advice other than just like, you just gotta do it and see how it goes. And
yeah.
I think the thing is, people like it's the same like when you're doing photos at a wedding, or if you're doing photos of, portraits, headshots, couples photography. You might be nervous, but they're nervous too, and they don't. They're hiring you because they don't know how to do it, and they don't have anyone else to do it for them, and so much more than them about photography. So yeah, you can do it for sure. We got a question. Let's see. Shutterbug Denise asks, "What causes the slight variation in aperture measured by my camera, such as 5.59999 instead of 5.6,
Huh.
84 in?"
I've never heard of that. The zoom one, if it's 84 instead of 85 millimeters, if you're on a zoom lens, that when you zoom in, it would change that.
What? Yeah, I guess I'm curious. What lens and what camera is this? Because maybe it's like a lens that doesn't.
Like a declicked aperture ring. It looks like it's at
Or like
5.6,
maybe
but
it's
it's
like
slightly off.
knockoff brand kind of lens or something that doesn't read properly in the camera. Because 84 to 80, 85 millimeter, that's not the aperture, that's the focal length, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. Denise,
It's not the
more info.
focusing ring. It's for the prime. If it's a prime lens, it's just maybe your camera got an update and um, your 85 is more like an 84. There's a whole thing like, well, like the 28 millimeter on the Leica, everyone's just like, it's not a 28 millimeter. It really measures at like 26 or something like that. It's like, but it's a 28. And
55 to 250, is that the mill?
What?
Okay.
She's saying 85 at 55 to 250.
yeah, so you were zooming in and you weren't at exactly 85. You were slightly wider than 85. And so that's why it said 84. The aperture thing, I've no idea why it would give you a 5.59999 readout.
Yeah, I've never
That's
seen
strange.
that.
Yeah.
Any other questions, thoughts, things? Wait, what? So you mentioned Sam about
wait.
your camera that you use for the wedding, but what's your everyday carry nowadays?
Me?
Yeah,
Or
or
Will?
both of you guys. Yeah.
I mean,
Like a Q3. I sold everything.
Okay. I think that's the same from last call, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
no, he just bought that camera.
Well, that's the camera I bought in replacement of all my other cameras because now I don't have any other cameras.
Nice camera. Mine is a Leica Q2, which I've been everyday carrying since 2020,
Nice.
3 years, and I don't have any plans to get rid of it. But I was shooting some behind the scenes on a music video. I was doing video, and I had the Q around me, and I got some really awesome photos with the Q2. They're like
Those turned out awesome.
editorial looking shots. Excuse me, which is great.
I just found my Nikkor mat. Phil, I think we might have been together. We went, Phil and I studied abroad in Germany, and we did a class trip to the Czech Republic to Prague. And we went and found this old camera shop in like the Old Town or something.
Oh,
And
yeah, that sounds.
I forget exactly who I was with, but I bought a Nikkor mat, which is like an old school Nikon film camera.
Yeah.
And I was just moving things around and I found that camera. And
That's awesome.
there's a roll in it that's probably a decade old at this point that I want to shoot out to see if it's still any good. But pretty excited to find that. I don't have any Nikon lenses anymore though, so I need to get something for that.
I have some
I'm
Nikon
sure you could
lenses,
find
but
like some old lenses for cheap. Or
I think I have some old Nikon lenses in our shared storage unit, Sam.
Okay. I'll do
Um,
that.
we should no. I've been shooting more film. Like I've been carrying around Sam's Leica, what is it? M7.
M7, yeah.
I've been carrying that around a lot, and then also my Hasselblad I've been trying to shoot on, but it's just I had something really sad happen to me when I went to the ranch that we normally go to like a month before Sam and I went to work there, and I shot 3 rolls of 120 and 3 rolls of 35, just testing out all these rolls. I spent like $130 on the film itself, and like I was just having fun walking around. I wasn't working. I was just enjoying taking photos. And I used a service where you're supposed to mail the film in. Instead of my traditional going to the shop in Torrance, California, I shipped these 6 rolls of film, paid for them through the service, and the post office lost all 6.
dang.
I hate that story.
Are you watching Peter McKinnon's YouTube videos? Because he's all about film photography
Off
now.
and on, but like it's cool. I just like I've been into film. Like we've all been into film our whole life, and it's like now it's like the trendy thing, which is
Yeah.
cool. I appreciate it that everyone's checking it out and doing it. It just yeah, it's been great watching him.
Yeah.
I think it's wonderful that people want to get into film, and it's just it's another camera. It doesn't matter what camera you're using. It doesn't really like I can make any of my digital photos look like film at this point, but the process of taking film photos I think is wonderful. I think the biggest thing that people are missing out on with shooting film though is the darkroom aspect. I think that is incredibly important. Like as a photographer, that taught me so much about really like
I'm sure that'll be Peter McKinnon's next step. He's gonna make
I
a
hope-
darker.
he has the space, so I hope he does. But yeah,
I just think
don't know.
I don't watch many of his videos anymore, but I feel like every YouTuber I follow is on the exact same path of I started YouTube because I'm into video or photography, and then all I do is make YouTube videos that are for the algorithm, like camera reviews. And now I need to go back to the art of what I really love, and I'm taking a step back from YouTube videos, blah, blah, blah. It's like literally the same arc. Every creator that I see, even if it's not photography, it's just like the whole YouTube lifespan of creators, I feel. And maybe it's just like the generation that I follow. It's like this generation of YouTubers who started like 5-10 years ago, they blew up, and now they're like getting burnt out on it. But I just find it like really funny when every single YouTuber I follow is like puts out the same video about I need to step back and make videos that I really want to make.
I need to do that too. I've
Yeah,
been
I
so
need to
behind
do
on my
that too. I do that too.
I just the whole concept of like, all right, what am I doing this week that's going to be interesting, and let me look at the trends of what's pop culture right now, and let me go make I don't know.
Yeah.
The thing I've gotten really into, which I love because I don't really watch photography YouTube anymore because
Yeah.
I'm just like I don't care whatsoever, is woodworking YouTube videos, and I love watching other creatives that have learned how to do video to share their craft.
Yeah.
And like this one woman that does incredible woodwork, she'll like do these little video tricks, and I can tell she's so proud of herself doing. Like she attached a GoPro to a piece of wood she's moving, and the entire time you see her eyes in the corner, like looking at the GoPro, and it's like it's kind of funny to like yeah, that's how a lot of people use this, and it's like man, like if you're not a video maker though or photo person, like you're having to take on a whole new skill set on top of the thing that you're actually doing.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know. I just got I got tired of
Oh yeah.
feeling like I should be going out there and doing some epic trip or doing some. It's just like nah.
Yeah.
I don't-
There's
don't
one.
know.
I mean, the thing. There's one YouTuber that I've been enjoying a lot that you might like, Sam, because he does some woodwork, but or just like projects. Is Trout and Coffee. He's this guy that lives in I think Vermont.
Yeah,
He
that's
has
the
a
most YouTuber
cabin.
name.
A lot of it's just like a lot of his original stuff was like just like fall foliage in Vermont, and but he does like a lot of projects around the house, and again it's like he knows how to use the camera really well, so it's beautiful. But his stuff I really like, and it's kind of like what I wish I would do if I had time or wanted to do video. It's like just like following him around the house, like doing his projects, but it's like beautiful, and it's not like camera reviews and that kind of thing. But yeah, I don't know. YouTube.
I think we've got some questions.
Yeah, we got a lot of questions. All right, let's see. Starting from the top, Amadou says, any tips to call photos faster? Do you mean cull photos faster? Like go through your photos faster?
I think they mean
Probably.
cull photos.
Yeah.
I would say for me, because I cull photos all the time and I do a lot of them, you just have to find a groove and you have to practice at it. But a lot of times in Lightroom, I just scroll through them and use the star system. So I'll go through them once, give them 3 stars, and then see the 3 stars and then go through them again and get 4 stars. But honestly, I'm really fast at it now because I've been doing it for almost 20 years. So it's just take practice.
I think for me, finding the time of day that is a good mindset of culling photos. If I do in the morning, there's other work I have to get done, and I don't like culling photos in the morning. But in the afternoon, when I'm kind of like tapped out for the day, I'm just gonna sit back, gonna like, I don't know, drink some iced tea and lemonade, and just like sit through thousands of photos, star rating them. And
Yeah.
the more you can do that on the front end, the easier it all gets later on. One thing I did start doing was the colored flags as well. And so if
Oh
it's
yeah.
like, this is for, this is going to be like, the, I did for like the bride and then for the groom, sort of marked different meanings of different photos. And then I also did the star system. But if you just got to sit there and go through one by one, and
Yeah,
yeah.
Lightroom is fast because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are all star
Five.
ratings on your keyboard, and then 6 is red, 7 is green, 8 and 9 are colors too. And then also if you hit F on your keyboard, it'll flag it. So there's like
Well,
ways
I
to
mean,
just fly through stuff.
that brings up a good point though. Like, I don't know, if Amadou your photos, if you use Lightroom Classic to go through your
Yeah.
photos, if you're using another app, if you're trying to do it in your computer's documents, it's a lot harder than using a tool that's made for organizing photos like Lightroom Classic.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What else we got? We got lots.
Let's see. Okay, Michael asks, advice for first wedding.
Ooh, congratulations.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
awesome. And I know it can be nerve-wracking too. So that feeling is totally normal.
If there's an event planner or somebody that you can talk to about the schedule beforehand, knowing like what the order of events is going to be and knowing where you
Yeah,
need to be.
that's helpful.
And if you can also get there earlier and scout the location and know where, okay, like from 4 to 5 is your time to do photos with a couple. It's like, well, where are you going? And like know a location you want to go, know what the lighting is going to be, find that place. Will?
Yeah, I mean, there's a million things I
Wedding
can.
photographer?
I've shot so many weddings, but I would say like know the event order. That's a really good thing to do. And remember, like you're trying to tell a story more than anything else. So in doing that, wide, medium, close. Everything that's happening, do a wide, medium, close. Like putting on rings, wide, medium, close. Getting ready, wide, medium, close. Speech, wide, medium, close. And then keep in mind that the best photos, at least for me in a photojournalistic sense, not every photo is going to be in what is actually happening. When the bride and groom are up there, or when the partners are up there, look at the audience. Is somebody crying? Does someone have their hand over their mouth? Think about, there's a speech. Right after the speech, there's always hugs, and those are really good photos. So, wide, medium, close of everything, but keep in mind that it's not just what is the event that's happening, it's other people around that are doing things. So keep an eye out for that. And then you'll get really wonderful photos that a lot of people don't necessarily get all the time. And just try to be present. Just try to remember to slow down and be there and understand what's happening around you.
From the words of Ted Lasso, be a goldfish. Should anything happen during the event that you miss a shot, whatever it is, just keep going. Like, you're there for someone's wedding. Everyone there is family and friends. Be a family and friend. Like, be in a good mood. Have fun with it. If you miss something, don't worry about it. Move on to the next thing. Get the next thing. Like, just don't, try to stay in the moment and stay present with whatever is happening and have fun with it and be personable. And, yeah.
And they've hired you for a purpose. So, and this goes for all of you as photographers, like, Brittany, Nicholas, like you guys are hired for a reason, and that's you, and you're there to be there, and trust that there's a reason why you're there. Just be yourself and do your thing.
I just want to echo though. So Michael, I'm not sure if this is true or I'm reading into it, but you're saying for someone who's never shot or been to a wedding before. So maybe, I don't know how old you are, maybe I remember like getting out of college or whatever and starting doing wedding videos and feeling like, I don't even know what a wedding the process is like. So yeah, talking to the coordinator and just making sure you know each of the moments is so important. I mean, we go over that in the wedding photography class. The other thing that I will say is, if you've never been to the venue before, if you can go there ahead of time, check it out so that you know where you might want to take like couples photos or family photos. And if you can't go to the venue, maybe look online on Instagram at like the venue's location, or on Google search for like the location and wedding to see if there's any wedding photos out there for inspiration, so you can see ahead of time, like, okay, there's this cool tree or there's this great patio that at this specific time of day might have good lighting. And just so like on the day of, you're not like running around trying to find these places, or at the very least get there early ahead of time and try to do that. So yeah, hopefully all that helps.
Keep us posted.
Yeah. Good luck. Nikolai asks, thank you. Great stream so far. Appreciate it. Hit that like button if you're enjoying the stream and want us to do more of them. What gear is the best for portrait photography, and what do we use?
I go back and forth for the headshots that I do corporate or like for actors and stuff. I use an 85 millimeter prime. That's like my go-to portrait lens that I use for stuff. 85. I think I'll switch over to the 28 on the Q2 when I'm doing like a portrait session, or just have it on the side to like create some context if it's not in a studio. But yeah, I mean, primes for me are like the best thing to use. 85, 50.
I've been going through my all my photos to create a portfolio online and for my website, and like I do think that a 50 millimeter or 85 millimeter prime is best, but I've also never done really headshot sessions or like formal, like that kind of thing. All my favorite portraits were taken with my Leica Q or Q2, and now the Q3, and all of that is a 28 millimeter
Full frame.
Full frame. I'm not sure I would ever suggest someone that for that, but for that use. But for my style and traveling and the situations I end up in, like I just really like them. They're wider portraits. They're definitely not like a headshot, but
they create some context, especially if you're like out in the field. And I think it just depends on your style, like what you're trying to achieve.
Exactly.
And I've done a few, portrait sessions with a crop sensor camera, the Fuji X-T4, and I'm on the 56 millimeter, which is close to that 85 for more of the headshot. But when I've done like couples, like engagement photos or family photos, I like to have a wider lens too, which I think I'm trying to remember what I bring. I think I just stick to my 16 to 55, which is like a 24 to 70, which isn't necessarily like the best portrait lens, but I can be wide enough for those like family photos where they're like sitting on a bench or walking down a path or something where they're more in the environment, full body shots. So I think it depends on who you're photographing, but if you're trying to get those more environmental shots, like a 56 or an 85 might be a little tight for those kinds of things. Cool. So, just a note, Dickinson Eckhart, you asked about a Blue Moon question. I saw your comment about it, but I didn't see what your question was. So maybe repeat that if you have that. Jose's asking if we're going to do portfolio critiques. What if, I'm not sure when our next live stream is going to be. We'll try to set up, I think, a regular schedule of live streams for, I don't know, in the future. And we'll try to set that up soon. Maybe for our next live stream, we could just do like a portfolio critique, and we can just have anybody who wants us to critique your portfolio submit your photos ahead of time or a link to your portfolio. I think that'd be super cool, and we'll set that up over on Plus which you can join for free as our community. And that's where we have all of our events scheduled anyways, and you can RSVP there, but we'll have a specific portfolio critique session, and as many people as we can will critique your portfolios. So I think we have talked about that in the past, and we should definitely do that. Maybe we'll just do that next time. Bill is asking, Will, is the 28 millimeter, does that fulfill most of your needs for your Q2?
I'd say for my
because for most people who don't know, it's a fixed lens camera.
Yeah, it's a fixed lens camera, and I'd say like for my everyday carry, it does great. It's fine. I mean, when I have it and I'm walking around, and for sure there are times where I'm like, man, I wish I had like a 18 to shoot this landscape, or I had like a 200 to snag that thing that's really far away. But as an everyday camera, I like that I've taken out the ability to make a decision on what lens to take out every day. It's like I just take that camera, and then I get what I can get, and I get what I can't get. It's a high megapixel camera. It's like what, Sam, like 46, 47? 42 megapixels. So like even at 28, you can crop in a significant amount and still maintain like a really solid photo. Now that's a Q2. The Q3 is 61 megapixels. So even more so. And that's a fixed 28 as well. But, and then even while I'm shooting a wedding during the ceremony, I have the 70 to 200 on my right side, and then I keep the Q on my left. The 28 has been a great wide shot for me, at least wide that I want, while I'm using the 70 to 200 on my other side. And then I'll switch that out for 24 to 70, and the 28 is still like a good, in between, even though I can get to 24 on the other camera. So I don't know. The 28's been fine. Like, and I really do think there's something about being creative enough to like having restrictions around your creativity will allow you to like push yourself more. And so, if you're not close enough, like, and you can walk up, if you can't, you can't. If you're not wide enough, walk back. And if you can't, you can't. Like, do something else to create a creative composition or do what you need to do. That's just an everyday camera, right? If you're trying to shoot something specific like sports, like the 28 is probably not going to be great. Or if you need to shoot an event, just the 28 is not going to be great. Or like you are doing portraits, but you want to have some compression in your subject, the 28 is not going to be great. But if you're walking around and you want context and you want to show wide and you can do street photography, I think it's phenomenal and it's great. And that quality on that camera specifically is phenomenal. So, and that's all I have to say about that.
That's interesting you talking about that, because I'll just bring up this follow-up question about if we could choose one lens and it had to be a prime lens, what would it be?
He's getting to my heartstrings here.
Would it be different than the 28 millimeter? And personally, I always go back to my 16 millimeter on my Fujifilm, which is probably 28-ish.
Pretty close to 28.
24.
Yeah.
24, 20. Yeah. And so it's a little bit wider. I think for my photography, it's...
Oh no, it is.
I mean, I'm just always taking photos of like my kids and stuff. So like being too tight is so hard for me. So I'm always wider generally. So that would be mine. And that's on a crop sensor though. So
I really am happy with a 28. I think even if given the option, I may go to a 35, but for some reason, just having that little extra room. And again, like I said, because it's a higher megapixel camera, we have the ability to crop in, and the quality of the lens at 1.7 or even 2.8, there's still a ton of fall off on it that looks nice. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe it depends on the camera, but I like the 28.
Sam?
I mean, the Q's, I think the best camera ever made. I think the 28 is perfect. Yeah. I agree with everything Will was saying. I mean, it's also like, it's a wonderful standalone camera. And then it's also, if you're doing an event or doing something else, it's an amazing second camera. When I was doing that elopement thing, like having a 70 to 200, and also ability to go to 16 to 35 or 24 to 70 as I need to. But the images and taking the time to step in closer, step farther away with the 28 millimeter and the quality of that lens it's just really hard to beat. And I think you can get great portraits. You can get great wide shots. Yeah, it's a great all around focal length.
A lot of people would probably like the 35 millimeter as an all around, or
Yeah.
or what I have on my Fuji X-T4 right now, which is the 35, which is close to 50 on a full frame. So
When I was learning photography in high school back in the day, when I was shooting film, I shot on a 35 millimeter all the time, like just constantly, and that was the only lens I had. And I think it taught me how to like get good in compositions, you know.
yeah. I'm gonna bring up. We got 3 more questions. We'll hit them really quickly. I'm gonna start with this one, Dickinson, about photographing the moon with foreground. It sounds like you had trouble getting the moon and the mountains in the shot. Moon rose from behind, but homes in front did not.
I feel like that's just a matter of widening out. It might
When you
also
say
depend on
lost-
how far-
Sorry, when you say Dickinson, when you lost the foreground, are you talking about just like literally cropping out that, or lost it in like exposure or something like that?
Oh, or maybe it was out of focus too much.
Moon rose from behind, but homes in front did not have lights on. So, I mean, if it's an exposure thing and you're exposing to the moon and that whole foreground is going to be dark, then maybe that's what you're talking about. That's going to be tough.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're shooting in RAW, maybe you can bring up that exposure. If you're more just asking about framing it.
Oh, yeah, lost in exposure.
Okay.
So lost in exposure meaning they're too dark compared to the moon, probably because the moon was so bright.
Probably, yeah, like the foreground mountains were just black, like the sky.
Yeah. Which, because the moon is so bright and it's so much contrast compared to anything else you're taking a photo of, probably the only way to really do that would be a bracket exposure.
Yeah.
So taking one shot a lot faster, higher f-stop, higher shutter speed, whatever it is, lower ISO, and then another one that allows in a lot more light to get a good exposure of the mountains, and then you just sort of
You have to comp them together in post. Yeah, you marry 2 photos, so you're exposing for the shadow, you're exposing for the moon, and then exposing for the mountains in 2 different photos, and then putting them together. That's, I think, the only way to do it if it's that big of a bright difference, depending on what camera you're using too.
Yeah. Bracketing, Sam, on it with that. Good idea. All right. Amadou has 2 questions. Considering ever evolving trends in photography and the competitive nature of wedding photography, how do you envision adapting your creative style?
Let's do a whole talk just on this subject.
Yeah.
Discussion.
Let's do a live stream just on creativity, and
we'll have to like try not to go too deep into this. But I would say it's a tough balance. I had a wedding company with a friend, and part of what he didn't like about it was that he didn't want to change his own photography style to match business trends, because that's just not what he wanted to do in an artistic way. Now, I think there is a thing to be said about wedding photographers, in that you are chosen as a wedding photographer based on your specific style. So, should you keep up with the trends and adapting? Like, sure, you can, or you can try and make a niche for yourself in your specific style. I don't know. That's like a deep business question. It also depends on where you are in the world and where you're taking photos, because a New York wedding photographer who shoots black and white is very different from someone that shoots in San Diego and it's all bright and beachy stuff. So, yeah. Hard question to answer
we can talk maybe
30 seconds.
Quick question. I think we all agree on this. Rochelle asks about adding watermarks on social media. I would say no. Like, anybody that wants to, it's just kind of a distraction that takes away from the art of your photo, and anyone that really wants to steal your photo can easily remove a watermark, even if it's intricate in a complicated area. AI can do that super easily now. So,
and if you put it fully across your photo, it's like you're taking away from the photo in the first place. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think prove me wrong, but I don't think anyone has like gotten a job or anything because someone saw a photo and looked and saw a watermark and was like, oh, I'm curious about that photographer. If it's on your social media, it's, and assuming people are seeing it from your social media, they already see who took the photo. And like I said, if someone wants to steal it, regardless of if it has a watermark or not, they can remove it. And
Totally.
it's hard to, prevent that.
Yeah.
We're at time. I think we should cut it. There was one more question. I don't know if you want to hit this question about, again, from Amadou about maintaining your own artistic passion and financial stability, balancing that with creating unique and memorable experiences for clients.
I think it's really like a never-ending balance, and I'm currently working on a project or two projects that I did my creative bit and had a plan and executed that, and then the client came in and changed that. I'm not in a place to tell them they're wrong. I'm not in a place, and I actually, some of the changes that I fought against or internally fought against, I think did strengthen the piece, and ultimately they're the ones paying, and it's their choice. So there's times when I think it's good to battle for or like share that you really believe on something should be a certain way, but when it's for a client and you're doing that, you want to deliver a good product. And the creative process, like I think photography is very singular in a lot of ways. I think what film has taught me working with large teams is that other people bring in creativity and other people have ideas that you might not see, and opposed to just shutting it out and saying, no, I know everything, I'm the best at this, and this is how we're doing it. It's like other people have ideas that can work, and opposed to making that hard thing, but instead making it fun, like creative endeavor and collaborating, I think is hugely important. So
it's a balance, and like you're the one that has to decide if at what level do you want to be sacrificing what you enjoy doing or not enjoy doing, or what you want to share as an artist or not. It's just a constant balance.
Yeah. Well, this has been awesome. I'm glad we got back at it. And like I said, Sam, Will, and I will chat about the frequency and when we can do these. But Dickinson, thank you for the comment. We definitely want to do this more often. And I think summer break was just a break, and we're going to be back at it. If you want us to do more of these, head over to Photography and Friends Plus, which is free, and let us know. But also the other thing, just in return, that you can do is review our classes that you've taken. I posted a link to your learning page on Udemy if you've taken our courses on Udemy, and on that page you can easily leave reviews for the classes, and that's so important for us and helps the classes and helps us do more stuff like this and run the community. So if you can take a minute to do that right now, if you haven't done so
right now,
that would be amazing. So anyways, Will, Sam, anything else?
No. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks everyone for being here. It's good to catch up with you guys.
Yeah,
we'll be back.
All right, see you all next time. Much love. Bye.